So in this video, I'm going to be showing you the restoration I did on this antique turn-of-the-century trunk. It's been in my family for a very long time, but as you can see from these clips, its condition is looking a little rough. So this is actually the second trunk I have restored. I got two from family members. I'm just showing some clips here to show you what its sort of finished product looks like. So first off, I went in with Mod Podge on this back sort of lithograph image that comes on a lot of these trunks. The image in the paper was starting to peel and lift, and I was worried it was going to flake off on me as I did more work on the trunk later on, so this is the first thing I did. So basically I'm just really gently peeling up the pieces of paper that are lifting and trying to kind of stick them back into place. I was having a bit of trouble at this point. The paper wanted to keep lifting on me, so eventually I just put on like a really thick layer of Mod Podge and then weighed it down so that as it dried it would stick in place. And the next day I did a second coat. So moving on, it has this built-in tray with this cute little image that I believe is supposed to sort of hinge upwards, but that has come apart. And the hinges, it's really just like a canvas material that looked like it had been nailed in. It's kind of hard to believe that I worked as a carpenter based on the hammering in this clip. So I'm just gonna put it in fast forward and pretend you don't see how long it takes me to hammer a few finished nails in. And voila, it hinges. So this is just to show you again the rough state of the interior. It has this paper lining that unfortunately after like 100 years has started to flake and gotten like really gross and moldy. So I'm just spraying that down with water and then scraping it off. Honestly, this was the worst part of the entire restoration. Yeah, this paper, despite it flaking, was stuck on a lot better than I anticipated. So after I had taken all the paper off, those moldy spots were like still on the wood. So I went in with this, I think it's a deck cleaner. It's supposed to dilute it 1 part cleaner to 4 parts water. And I'm just dumping that right in and then kind of scrubbing it. Ultimately, it didn't really work that well. The spots were still there at the end of this, so I'm just rinsing it off. So you can get wood wet, just once it dries, the grain will be raised. So I went in afterwards. I was going to sand it anyway, but since the grain was raised, I went in afterwards and sanded it with a low grit sandpaper. I don't know for sure what it was. And then I went in afterwards with a slightly higher grit. So I had bought so many products from doing this, I didn't want to buy any more, and the only oil I had was double boiled linseed oil. I don't know if that's the right product to use. Wood finishers don't come for me, so this is what I used. So I just applied that very liberally to the inside of the trunk. Okay, now we're moving on to the more exciting bit, which is the exterior. So to start off with all the metal bits that were pretty rusty, so these little like floral details, the handles, the raised kind of metal floral detailing, I went in first with a pretty coarse wire brush attached to my drill. And the goal wasn't to get it entirely like spotless, but to get a lot of the rust off so you could see a bit more of like the bare metal. So then I went in with my knockoff Dremel rotary tool thing with a wire brush for the more detailed sections. I would go over the more detailed elements and try to get a bit more rust off them. So once I was happy with the state of the metal, I wasn't trying to get it perfect because I'm skipping ahead, but I decided I was going to be painting all of it. I taped off the sections that I wanted to protect so that I could begin to spray. In here I'm just kind of sanding down with some emery cloth on, again, the bits of rust just to try to get it as smooth as I can when I spray paint. And I ended up doing a pretty kind of crude tape job because I realized it's easier to like not tape super precisely and then just do touch-ups afterwards. So now I'm using, I believe, a semi-gloss black Trumclad spray paint on all the areas that were already painted black. So as I said, I didn't do super precise tape jobs, so now I'm going in and just touching up with some spray paint that I just sprayed into like the cap, and then I'm painting it on. Saves a lot more time this way, and I feel pretty confident in my ability to paint, not as much as my ability to tape. I forgot to film it, but I use a golden pecan stain. And so on closer inspection, there's this area of the metal that was sort of protected, as you can see from like where the overhang is on the cover. And the raised bits of like floral design had this nice gold tint to it. So this is at the point where I decided I was going to be painting all the metal instead of just keeping it bare. So I got a gold spray paint. And again, it just felt easier to paint than to spray because I didn't want to tape off a bunch. So here I'm just putting it on kind of lightly to get a feel of how it would look. And I did notice at this point it didn't totally match with that existing gold that was already there on the flowers, like the raised flower elements. However, on the edges, I feel like I had a pretty good match here. You can see where the existing gold is on like the more recessed bits, and I felt like my spray paint color matched well. But I wanted to get a better fit for the raised flower elements, so I picked up a different metallic spray paint. I believe this is Antique Brass, and I just started to paint that on. Again, on the raised bits only. I just felt it looked really flat without it, and you know, it's such a nice detail on the trunks. I really wanted it to kind of pop. I still don't love the spray paint. It goes on like super sparkly, as you can see. It doesn't dry sparkly, thankfully. But this was kind of the best I had. It was really hard in the hardware store to like know what the right color of metallic spray paint is. I ended up doing mostly 2 coats on that section, and then I went over all the other metal bits, like the kind of decorative hardware. Again, it looks super sparkly. I swear it doesn't look that sparkly anymore. And here is the finished product. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Part of me is like, is the gold tacky? But ultimately, the gold was what seemed to be original. But I think it does, it looks really good here on the edge. Like, I'm really happy with how that side turned out. So then I just sprayed it with a clear lacquer, I believe. And here's the inside, both foiled and then with the tray insert. Here I'm just showing you how the tray, or how the flap works. And here is the finished product. A reminder of what the before looked like and then the after.